The dead are rising in cemeteries with no explanation. They have no memory of dying, and they're not zombies, just people trying to reclaim their old lives. But their return disturbs the balance of reality, and not everyone is comfortable with it. Yorana is a small, quiet town in Victoria, Australia, where life moves at a gentle pace. But that calm shatters in an instant when the town experiences a sudden power outage. Teenager Bo, riding past the local cemetery, spots a black SUV speeding away from the scene. Curious, he hears eerie noises coming from the graveyard and decides to investigate. What he sees next freezes him in terror. People rising from their graves, clawing their way out of the earth. Soon after, James Hayes, the town's local police officer, hears about the strange happenings at the cemetery. When he arrives, he finds a young woman injured and covered in dirt, visibly shaken and confused. Unsure what's happened to her, James calls for an ambulance. Before it arrives, Dr. Alicia McKellar, who runs the small town clinic, shows up and offers help. Together, they spot a handful of other people nearby. While James loads several into his SUV, Alicia takes the injured woman and another frightened woman found nearby. In total, they manage to gather 5 people, unaware that one man has slipped away unnoticed. That man is disoriented and scared, unsure of where he is. When Bo catches up to him, he begs to be taken to the nearest bar for a drink. Inside, he discovers an old knife, the very one he once owned. Later, Bo and the man, Patrick, stage a clever ruse to rob a store. Bo pretends to be the hostage of an aggressive thief, and they walk away with an easy score. Standing near a monument, Bo realizes who Patrick really is: Patrick Fitzgerald, the town's first mayor who died 150 years ago. Meanwhile, Alicia and James bring the 5 individuals back to the clinic for medical evaluation. Carlo, one of them, is overcome with panic and tries to escape. Outside, memories flood back. He recalls an attempt to flee a prisoner of war camp, a desperate bid that ended with him being shot dead. The others have no memory of dying or coming back. When James returns Carlo to the clinic, he spots a blonde woman named Kate and is stunned into silence. It's Kate, his ex-wife who died 2 years ago. He buried her himself, certain this must be some cruel hallucination. But Alicia knows this is real, and that there's no logical explanation. Determined to make Kate face the truth, James takes her to the cemetery and shows her her own grave. Terrified, she runs away. Then James meets Vic, an officer from a nearby precinct investigating the desecrated graves. Vic finds James's reluctance to hunt down the culprits suspicious. James finds Kate again and gently convinces her to accept her new reality. She's dead, yet alive, and surprisingly well despite it all. James brings Kate back to the clinic, but this time Carlo escapes again. Unable to accept his death, Carlo tries to climb over the fence that once enclosed the POW camp, only to be caught by Vic. As James pieces together the mystery, he learns Carlo was a brother who once tried to end his own life. Alicia reveals she has a living patient named Carlo, over 90 years old. Believing this man might be Carlo's real brother, James arranges a meeting to uncover the truth behind these resurrected souls. But as they try to leave town, Carlo suddenly falls ill. They stop on a bridge, and in a horrific moment, blood pours from his eyes before he collapses into ash. James collects Carlo's remains and returns to the clinic, unaware that the skeptical Vic has started tailing him. James shares what happened with Alicia, who wonders if Carlo's fate will befall the others. The next morning, Kate suggests James come live with her, but he refuses, insisting she stay under medical care. It quickly becomes clear why. James is now married to Sarah, Kate's best friend, who is expecting their child. Meanwhile, back at the cemetery, a 7th figure rises from the grave, confused and lost, just like the others. That morning, Kate stares at herself in the mirror and remembers that she died from breast cancer. After a long, grueling battle, she'd undergone multiple surgeries to remove parts of her body, yet now, somehow, she's completely healed and whole. Alicia runs a thorough exam to confirm that Kate is truly healthy. Meanwhile, James keeps the truth hidden from his current wife and covers up the damage at the cemetery. Patrick, however, continues his rampage. This town used to be his, but now it's home to his wealthy descendants. Convinced he's the rightful owner of everything, Patrick breaks into a cafe to eat and then sneaks into a clothing store to change. At the same time, Alicia learns that Carlo's brother died last night. When James connects the dots, he realizes the brothers died at exactly the same time, which is highly suspicious. Digging deeper, James counts 7 empty graves, but only 5 resurrected individuals have been found. Then, reports come in about a naked man spotted near the school. Assuming it's Patrick, James heads over and finds himself in the showers. He tries to talk things through, but the risen man attacks and tries to strangle him. James manages to arrest him, but this turns out to be the 7th resurrected, whose identity remains a mystery. Even in the police car, he keeps fighting, catching Vic's attention. James asks an officer from another precinct to back off and return home, but Vic ignores the request, suspecting James is hiding something. Back at the clinic, James identifies everyone present. Kate is his ex-wife, who died a few years ago. Carlo was executed during World War II. Charles died over a century ago. Kirsten was a young woman who passed at 19. And Maria Rose died in 1969. Not everyone believes James, especially Kirsten and Maria Rose. Kirsten insists she's still alive and thinks it's all some sick joke. Maria Rose is convinced her real name is Anna. Kirsten's leg wound is infected, and she needs specialized care. James decides to take her to a hospital in a nearby city, where doctors can run blood tests and examine her fully. Alicia sees this as a perfect chance to study the resurrected. Charles volunteers to accompany Kirsten, but they never make it. As soon as they cross a bridge, both start experiencing intense pain, with blood streaming from their eyes. James suspects the bridge is the problem and tries a different route, but the same thing happens. He realizes the resurrected are trapped inside this town and will die if they leave. Vic continues tailing them and eventually tracks them back to the clinic. While following Alicia's car, he notices a bloody handprint and confronts her, convinced she's hiding something. Maria Rose uses the distraction to escape, with Kate following her out. At the cemetery, Maria Rose learns that Anna was her daughter's name. In a frantic, desperate moment, she tries to dig up the grave, only to realize it's pointless. Anna hasn't come back. Later, Kate tries to go home, only to discover her best friend Sarah is now married to James. Seeing Sarah is pregnant, Kate quietly leaves and decides to spend some time alone. Meanwhile, Patrick remembers he was killed over 150 years ago by an angry Native American. He encounters Bo again and asks to be taken to the estates where he once lived. When James hears about Maria Rose and Kate's escape, he sets out to find them. He locates Maria Rose first, grieving her daughter's death, and convinces her to return. After James leaves, Maria Rose sees a car with her husband and daughter inside, but it's just an illusion. A few minutes later, James finds Kate on the edge of town. She tries to run but suddenly grows weak. Noticing blood dripping from her eyes, James stops her and brings her back to the clinic. Realizing this situation requires teamwork, he decides to tell Vic everything, but Vic dismisses James's story as nonsense. Using the distraction, Alicia drives 5 of the resurrected, Kate, Maria Rose, Charles, Kirsten, and the unnamed man, to a relative's farm. She's determined to protect them from becoming prisoners or test subjects. That night, when Alicia tries to feed the 7th resurrected, he attacks her, but doesn't kill her. Meanwhile, Vic gets into a horrific car crash but miraculously survives, crawling onto the road with barely a scratch. After reaching the nearest gas station, Vic splashes water on his face and notices blood, though no visible injuries. As he pieces together the accident's details, a shocking realization hits him. He's dead, but somehow also alive. He can't explain it, but he's determined to find out the truth. Urgently, he contacts James, hoping to connect with others who have come back to life. But that's not possible. Alicia has already taken 5 resurrected people who emerged from their graves 2 days earlier. Vic's frustration grows, but he's resolved to find someone who can explain what's really happening. Later, Vic breaks into a small clinic but finds neither the resurrected nor the doctor inside. When his wife unexpectedly shows up, they share an intimate moment, but afterward, Vic walks away for good, leaving her behind. Meanwhile, Alicia and the resurrected struggle to figure out how to escape the town. The doctor can't keep hiding them in this small community forever. Someone will find them sooner or later. Maria Rose refuses to follow the group's rules and bolts, determined to confront the unresolved issues of her past life. She first returns to her old home, only to find strangers living there. They react aggressively to her domineering attitude and throw her out, threatening to call the police. Desperate and spiraling, Maria Rose seeks refuge in a church. She declares herself a divine miracle, but the congregation believes she's lost her mind. Alarmed, they call James, demanding he arrest her. While the others lose control, Patrick tries to hold on to his past. Bo leads him to an abandoned house surrounded by a fence. Inside, Patrick remembers hiding something there and discovers an old metal chest tucked inside the fireplace. At that moment, Patrick's heirs, the current owners, spot them. At first, they act friendly and offer him a drink, but their kindness quickly turns sinister. They begin tormenting Patrick and ultimately turn him over to the police for breaking and entering. James tracks down Maria Rose and asks her to take him to Alicia before she causes more chaos. She agrees, on one condition. She wants to face her past first. Learning her husband is still alive but elderly and living in a retirement home, she visits him. He insults her, calling her an easy woman, which wounds her deeply. She denies it but recalls a time when a teenage boy once touched her leg. When she finds out the boy is alive but now a 60-year-old man, she demands to meet him. The car salesman admits he once taught Maria Rose to drive and secretly admired her, but nothing ever happened between them. Maria Rose wants to tell her husband the truth, but first, she has to fulfill the second part of her deal, show James where Alicia and the other resurrected are hiding. At the same time, Charles, Kirsten, Kate, and Alicia began searching for a way to escape the town. Charles volunteered to go first, but as soon as he nears the boundary, he suddenly feels sick. At the last possible checkpoint, Alicia violently pushes him forward, even though he's bleeding badly. Kate and Kirsten plead with her to stop, terrified that the desperate doctor might kill Charles. When they return to base, they run into James, who tracked them down. He asks Kate to understand him and takes her to a lakeside house where he's been keeping all her things. Realizing that even death hasn't broken their bond, James and Kate share a nostalgic moment and make love. Meanwhile, a resurrected John Doe, known only as John, lashes out violently at the others in another aggressive episode. Realizing he's a danger, he knows he needs to leave. Later, Maria Rose reunites with her husband and recalls how she died in a car accident, one that took both her and her daughter's lives. Visiting the cemetery, she mourns at Anna's grave and runs into Vic. A police officer claims that Alicia and James are deliberately keeping the resurrected captive, trying to unlock the secret of bringing people back to life, and cash in on this groundbreaking discovery. He wants to stop them and offers to help Maria Rose if she reveals the location of the farm where they're hiding. Maria Rose is suspicious, but the officer lies, telling her that medical science might be able to resurrect her daughter. Trusting him, Maria Rose visits her elderly husband and vows to do whatever it takes to restore their family. But soon she realizes Vic is deceiving her and planning something awful. She tries to escape but fails. Later, she forces him to take her to the crash site where Maria Rose and her daughter died. She says a final goodbye to Anna, and then Vic breaks her neck. After killing the useless resurrected woman, he finds a receipt hidden in her dress revealing the address of the farm where the others are hiding. Meanwhile, Kirsten takes a bath and recalls that she died in the water. Trying to shake off her troubles, Kirsten and Charles head into the woods where they find a group of college students drinking. While Charles gets distracted chatting with a girl, Kirsten suddenly disappears. Worried something bad happened, Charles rushes back to the farm and tells James what's going on. Kirsten, meanwhile, is with a local student by the river. In the water, memories flood back. She was killed here, and she asks the guy to choke her. He's hesitant but willing, until Charles and James arrive just in time to save and protect her. John, who's also left the farm, is wandering the city and ends up in a store. Without any money, he attacks the security guard and brutally beats him. Realizing he's become a monster with no place in this world, John tries to end it all in a pool, but bystanders save him. When Alicia finds him, she convinces him to return to the farm. Before going back, she takes him to a museum, where they discover John was a convicted killer executed in 1830. He can't go back to his old life, but with Alicia by his side, who's fallen for him, maybe he can start a new one. Later, a police officer interrogates Beau about the strange happenings in town. Beau tells him about the living mayor who died 150 years ago, but no one believes him. Hearing this, James talks to Beau and heads into the forest to find Patrick. After tracking him down, James convinces Patrick to come back to the farm, where Patrick resumes trying to open a locked chest. When he finally opens it, he finds a bloodstained dress and recalls he was married to a woman from a local Native American tribe. Visiting her old home, he runs into Beau again and realizes that Beau's grandmother is the granddaughter of his wife, meaning their family. After digging through old records, James uncovers the truth about Kirsten's murder. The files reveal she was strangled by her own boyfriend. Kirsten asks James to bring the man to her, and the officer agrees. It's the only lead they have on the resurrected's past lives. He travels to a different town and tracks down Kevin, who's been locked up for 18 years for killing a girl. Kevin refuses to come to Huron at first, but everything changes when Kirsten calls him herself, asking to meet at the river where she was killed. That night, Kirsten meets Kevin, ready to confront him and get revenge, but soon realizes he's innocent. Devastated and shocked, Kevin gets drunk and leaves, his life shattered beyond repair with no hope for redemption. Meanwhile, Kirsten comes to a chilling conclusion. The real killer is still out there, free and unpunished. While everyone else scrambles for answers and tries to make sense of the chaos, Kate spends her time fixing up an old motorcycle. Once it's running, she takes off for an archaeological site and slips her wedding ring back on. Knowing she refuses to live in the shadows or be her husband's secret, Kate steels herself to confront him, and Sarah, the woman carrying his child. She returns the family dog and shows up unannounced at her husband's house, shocking James and his pregnant wife, who used to be Kate's closest friend. Sarah isn't just shocked, she's on the brink of a complete breakdown, struggling to accept that any of this could be real. She feels sick to her stomach, her condition rapidly deteriorating. Fighting back tears, she clings to Kate, overwhelmed by happiness she thought impossible. She'd believed her friend was dead, and that knowing had numbed her. But now, after a brief moment of joy, questions start to surface. Meanwhile, James's current wife grows suspicious, sensing they're hiding something. Kate openly shows she wants her husband back. A fierce conflict ignites between James and his two wives, none of them sure what the right path is. James admits he loves them both but insists they must face reality. Patrick meets with Beau's family, sharing vivid details from the past to prove he truly lived 150 years ago. He demands his rightful inheritance, determined to keep it out of the hands of strangers. Skeptical, Beau's mother kicks him out, but Beau believes Patrick and goes with him to meet his heir. The woman, a real estate agent, dismisses Beau as a poor Native American and flat out refuses a DNA test. Patrick is determined to help Beau avoid a life of poverty, and recalls it wasn't just any native who killed him, but his wife's tribal husband. Meanwhile, Charles and Kirsten go for another walk. Standing near a World War I memorial, Charles is overcome with a strange, bittersweet nostalgia. Spotting a nearby bar, he suggests they stop in, remembering he'd been there with friends a century ago. The bar owner is obsessed with the war, obsessed with every detail. His unhealthy fixation on Charles leads him to recount all that happened 100 years ago, and even attempt to kiss him. Charles remembers he only got his medal because he was the sole survivor of a brutal battle with the Germans. George, the man he fought, had served alongside him. They loved each other, but George was killed by a sniper. Charles later requested a monument built in his honor. Yet, none of this explains exactly how Charles died. Soon, Vic arrives at the farm, surveying the area. He tricks Alicia into showing him the resurrected, but she deceives him. John attacks Vic from behind but loses the fight. Vic has a gun. Vic handcuffs John to a tree and demands Alicia call James. Following Vic's orders, she uses secret phrases to warn James about the unhinged officer holding her captive. While James rushes to the farm, Vic searches the place, uncovering evidence that Alicia knows far more than she admits. He's convinced she's hiding something, but she stays silent. Hours later, James arrives at the farm to confront Vic and bring him back from the edge. Bleeding and increasingly erratic, Vic's behavior becomes dangerously unstable. When he spots Patrick, knowing he's one of the resurrected, Vic tries to kill him. Patrick escapes, but Vic falls and breaks his leg badly. Meanwhile, Kate and Sarah grow anxious as James doesn't call. Realizing he left his phone at home, they head to the farm, but clash when they learn James had been intimate with his ex-wife. In the end, Kate rides her motorcycle to the farm, while Sarah stops by the police station to report a motorcycle riding suspect. Shortly after, James inspects Vic's car and finds Maria Rose's body hidden in the trunk. During a careful examination, Alicia confirms that the police officer killed the woman by snapping her neck. Vic is bleeding heavily and needs surgery immediately. James offers to take him to the hospital, but Alicia refuses. She believes Vic is too dangerous and could pose a threat to them all. Vic won't accept dying, though, and insists Alicia save his life. She agrees to perform the operation right there in the barn, but James has to track down the medicine left at the clinic and find Kate, since the sergeant's resurrected wife used to be a nurse. Meanwhile, James's partner spots a motorcycle flagged as stolen. When he stops the rider, he's shocked to see the resurrected Kate. He can't believe it's possible. They used to be friends, so Chris calls Kate's mother so she can hear her daughter's voice again. Later, Chris decides to take Kate to the hospital, but as they leave town, she suddenly falls ill. When blood starts streaming from her eyes, Chris pulls over and turns back. Unsure of what to do or what Kate really is, he brings her to the station and locks her up until they can figure things out. While Charles and Kirsten bury Maria Rose at the edge of the farm, Patrick and Bo keep fighting for justice. In Vic's notebook, there's a note that Patrick came back to life, but that alone isn't enough to prove it. Bo has a video showing Patrick crawling out of the grave, which could help claim the inheritance, but the phone was stolen by a distant relative. At the baseball field, Patrick confronts the heir holding the phone, brandishing a knife. In that moment, he realizes he wasn't killed by an Indian, it was his own son. His wife didn't just refuse to help, she watched his death with satisfaction. Broken by blood ties, Patrick shuts down. But a while back, he found a will in his late lover's dress, the will he wrote before dying. That document could finally prove that Bo and his family deserve their share. John begins to doubt Alicia's honesty. She's clearly hiding something, and Vic senses it too. When Charles stays to watch over the injured officer, he explains that the resurrected break the natural order. Their revival is a paradox, an injustice that must be corrected, and Charles partly agrees. After sending Sarah to the hospital to await childbirth, James returns to the station to free Kate. Before leaving, he asks Chris to dig up information on Alicia, since among the medicine he found documents showing she works for a private medical corporation called Noregard. On the way to the farm, Kate tells James that Sarah reported her to the police, which led to her arrest. Perhaps without realizing the full consequences, Sarah tried to kill Kate, but, thankfully, it failed. Once James and his resurrected wife arrive at the farm, they operate and save Vic's life. Immediately after, Alicia asks John to kill the officer. At that moment, James and Kate notice Vic's wound healing unnaturally fast. James realizes Alicia is hiding something and confronts her. She admits she used to be a scientist at Noregard but quit years ago. John is ready to follow Alicia's orders and kill Vic, but Vic forces him to remember who he really was. When John plays an old musical instrument, all the resurrected freeze as if held captive by the sound. John recalls that he took his own life back in 1830. Agreeing with Vic that the dead should remain dead, John helps Vic capture Charles and Kirsten. Hearing the chaos, Alicia and James intervene to stop the crazed officer. Vic drives to the edge of town and tries to force the resurrected onto the bridge, to die. Charles is willing to go, but Kirsten stops him. Vic warns that Kate's illness will return and she'll suffer terribly again, but James refuses to let her be destroyed. In a desperate move, he kills Vic and saves the resurrected. John decides to end his own life, but Alicia sedates him to stop it. James doesn't understand Vic's motives, and Alicia reveals the truth. The real Vic died in a crash days ago. This one is a specific copy. Later, Kirsten and Charles bury Vic on the farm's edge, while James heads to the hospital to be with Sarah during childbirth. That night, Noregard agents arrive at the bridge to collect blood samples for experiments. Sarah gives birth to a baby girl, but hours later begins hemorrhaging and needs emergency surgery. John no longer trusts Alicia and leaves. She packs up the medicine and vanishes. The doctors save Sarah but reveal she technically died, and was resurrected. James realizes something unnatural is happening in town. The dead are coming back. His second wife, Sarah, is one of them. Then Chris calls with a shocking revelation. The real Dr. Alicia died 4 years ago. It becomes clear Alicia isn't who she claims to be, and the strange events are experiments by the Noragard Corporation. Now, James must uncover their true goal, and find a way to stop this nightmare. Do we truly deserve a second chance after living through a lifetime of mistakes, losses, and all the fallout? If you could hit the reset button and start over, what's one thing you'd change? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, smash that like button, and be sure to subscribe. Catch you in the next video.